I expected their deaths to be harsh, but damn, this is brutal. Welcome to the August Tale, I'm August, and here in the channel I review anime visual novels, but for this series we're going to cover the second season of Higurashi Sotsu. These series of videos will be an episodic review and will serve as a visual novel / original story comparison, as well as a theory crafting series to solve this new mystery of Higurashi. Spoilers for episode 6 of Higurashi Sotsu, and with that said, let's begin. We finally approach the end of the Wata Akashi arc and conclude Mion's story in Higurashi Sotsu, with this episode being exceptionally well directed, bringing its A-game in horrific imagery and sequences, all while reminding us of some good old-fashioned Higurashi traumas. But this episode gives me the impression of a potentially dangerous situation for somebody. Not Mion, not Rika, but in fact, Satiko. Episode 6 shows how the rest of the murders play out. We already have our who and why after all. Mion teases Oryo to question her later, only for the latter to die instantly. Kimiyoshi was tortured to death, beginning with everyone's favorite fingernail torture device. And lastly, Mion strangles Rika out of rage, believing that Rika is facilitating the Oyashiro murders behind the scenes. How amusing that Rika berating Keiichi actually became the nail in the coffin for her. My initial theory was that Rika was fed up with Keiichi's actions, pronounced this fragment a dead end, and killed herself again. But Mion stomped that idea out of existence. If you remember from the original story, this isn't the first time it's happened too. Rika actually confronts Rena in Sumo Horoboshi Hen and discusses her disinterest in that Hinamizawa and proclaims she's moving on to the next one. Coincidentally, both conversations further confirm the paranoia of the L5 afflicted individual through misunderstanding the context. At this point, I suspect that Rika's patience is beginning to fade. In fact, I would say that Rika is constantly shifting between hope and despair as she's going through these arcs. Rika makes a move to fix Keiichi's understanding in the previous arc, and Rika convinces Keiichi to give the doll to Mion, but her actions weren't enough to stop the tragedies from running its course. You could say that once an individual reaches L5 Hinamizawa syndrome, there's no stopping them at that point, not even Satiko. And that idea, that the fact that people can run emotionally rampant may be that small bit of chaotic randomness that could possibly destroy Satiko in the end. But more on that later. A fun observation is that what I believe most people interpreted as the mountain dogs in this shot right here was actually just normal police officers investigating the Sonozakis under Oyashi's direction. To be quite honest, this truth feels somewhat underwhelming, and yet surprisingly realistic too. This also further confirms that there was never any involvement from Takano after her disappearance in this arc. Going back to Satiko, compared to the sadistic confidence she displayed in the last arc, here Satiko appears troubled during this last act. Just where did her beloved Rika run off to? And so, Satiko seeks out Mion, using that soy sauce bottle as an excuse. Funny enough, it's this same soy sauce bottle that Rika used to attack Shion disguised as Mion in the Makashi Hen arc in the original story. Now, Satiko's concern here brings up a very interesting situation, one that looks more complicated and difficult than it appears to be. Satiko's objective is to convince Rika to stay in Hinamizawa, and she's been given the ability to time loop in order to accomplish that. However, it comes with a condition. In order for Rika's memories to be preserved through the time loops, Rika has to die before Satiko does. Satiko can move to the next fragment at any time, but she can't die before Rika does. Otherwise, Rika will end up losing those memories. I believe if this happens, it's a considerable setback for Satiko since she has to start over. From what I believe of Satiko's plan, Satiko is trying to build up the idea placed inside Rika that escaping is meaningless. No matter how much she tries, she cannot leave Hinamizawa. It appears easy at first, but considering how wild and unpredictable people with the L5 Hinamizawa syndrome can be, it wouldn't be completely out of the question if that L5 afflicted individual could manage to kill Satiko prior to Rika's death, or kept Rika's life or death status unknown to Satiko, as almost implied by Mion here. So let us imagine a scenario where Satiko does end up dying before Rika. Rika's memories are reset back and Satiko has to attempt to accumulate those memories again. Say that Satiko's goal is achieved after 10 time loops or fragments. But what if Satiko dies before Rika on the 9th time loop? Satiko has to start over, which means if that consecutive streak continues to break, Satiko could potentially be stuck here looping for an extremely long period of time, even an eternity. Imagine doing your utmost hardest for a certain perfect victory, only to be foiled by some dumb luck or miracle. Wouldn't that just be terrible? However, this is merely a prediction of mine, and this story isn't over yet. We still have the Tatsuri Damashi Hen arc left to fully resolve, but we can probably guess what happened already. We've been given more than enough hints. So this makes me wonder if there's some surprise plot twists or interesting details awaiting for us in the next arc. So what do you all think of this episode, and what are your thoughts? I would love to hear them. If you like what I do here, consider subscribing and check out some of my other videos here on the channel. New content every week. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later.